Do you feel like shift work is getting the best of you? I get it. My name's Mitch. I've been a career firefighter for over a decade, and I understand how much inconsistent schedules and lack of sleep can mess with your consistency in the gym, making progress feel almost impossible. But it doesn't have to be that way. Today, I'm going to show you how I balance shift work in my life after a 24, how I train, how I fuel, and how I recover to feel my absolute best. So let's go. So first priority post shift is hydration, and then we're gonna get into a bit of movement. I don't know if it's just doing this for a while and I've gotten used to it, but when I started this career, I had to sleep when I came home, and now it is literally the last thing that I wanna do. Unless we've been up literally all night at a fire, I will refrain from sleeping. I just find that I wake up, I feel groggy, I have a headache, and I just feel like junk. So movement is a really good way of waking up, getting all those feel-good hormones in order to power through your day. And that's exactly what I do post-shift each and every time. So hydration is always super, super important. We're gonna go with the same 2 supplements pretty much every morning. An electrolyte supplement, I take Hydrate by Transparent Labs, as well as their creatine, both awesome options. I'll go ahead and put my discount code in the description below. I'm gonna shake these babies up, gonna hammer back coffee with my beautiful latte art. Not gonna quit my day job, and then we're gonna go hit the road for 10-ish kilometers, and we'll see you guys out there. So just like any workout, running is no different. Want to make sure that we're warming up properly. The priority here is to mobilize and activate. I think a lot of people just do a couple leg swings or they don't warm up at all, and that's definitely not the approach that we want to have. So right now I'm sitting in this position. You should feel a really good stretch in the back pocket area of the hip. I'm basically making some more space in that joint, and then afterwards we're going to activate, basically telling the brain and nervous system to turn on all the musculature around that joint. So adductors, external rotators, we're going to target those, and I guarantee whether you do this with running or weight training, there's going to be a night and day difference. What we're doing here is called an assisted hip airplane. So again, now that we've mobilized, we're going to activate the musculature of the hip. So when I'm in that position, using my hands for some stability, I'm basically working all those muscles through an active range of motion. Again, making sure everything's fired up and ready to hit that run. And for any of you guys that are wondering what shoes I wear, these are the Endorphin Speed 5s. I tried a couple different daily trainers over the last few years, but over the last 3 years or so, these have kind of been my go-tos. The nice part about these shoes is they're nylon plated, so a little bit more responsive than your typical kind of everyday shoe. So you can get away with a little bit of tempo and speed work, but also good for everyday training. So like a carbon plated shoe, you don't want to wear that every single day. So this is kind of a nice hybrid balance. They're super comfortable. I have a wider foot and they seem to work really well for me. So the Endorphin Speed 5s have been my go-to. So without further ado, time to do, if I'm honest, probably my favorite type of exercise, which is running. And that is shocking because for most of my life, I absolutely hated to run. So let's hit the road.
We're running on a beautiful dirt road surrounded by farmers' fields, and one thing you'll notice, most of these fields are barren. After months of hard work and effort, these farmers had the opportunity to reap the rewards of all their hard work. And one thing you have to realize is you are no different. But if you never plant those seeds in the first place, if you never have the courage to get started, you're never going to be able to bask in the glory of delayed gratification and really enjoying the fruits of your labor. Seems like a silly analogy, but I think once we begin to pull the layers back, we realize life is pretty simple. Show up, try your best. It's not going to be easy, but I can tell you right now from personal experience, it's always going to be worth it.
There you have it, guys. 10K, 446 average pace. Let's see what we got here for average heart rate and all that good stuff, because everyone wants to know. So average heart rate is 138, max 150. And for me, that's pretty much kind of zone 2 run. That's a pretty typical everyday run. 10K is my favorite distance. It's long enough to burn a ton of calories, but also short enough that you can get it done in a reasonable amount of time. So as we said in the beginning, mobilization and activation is the priority, but afterwards, long static stretching is what we want. The musculature is all warmed up, so it's in a really good position to be stretched. And second to that, especially as it pertains to first responders, we live in fight or flight. Exercise is fight or flight. Now we want to shift our body into a place of more parasympathetic tone or rest and digest, and this is a perfect opportunity to do that. So conventional thinking, or what a lot of people think is, I'm gonna hold this for 30 seconds. But going back to the importance of the breath, I like to hold stretches for breaths. So here, I'm gonna stay in this position for 10 breaths. Big inhale through the nose. Long exhale through the mouth. And really just try to sink into this stretch. I'm gonna flip on the red light in conjunction with this. And that is the best way to start a day post-shift. Movement, stretching, body's gonna feel great, mind's gonna be sharp, we're gonna have a ton of energy, and we're gonna reap a ton of benefits from the red light as well. So let's stretch. I'm telling you guys, that is the secret sauce. It doesn't matter how wrecked I feel when I come home from work. Exercise always makes me feel about 1,000 times better, both in body and mind. And I get this question all the time, and I kind of want to provide some clarity around my thoughts or my approach to how to train after work. People say, well, what do you do after shift? How do you train? Does your training change at all? Does your intensity go up or down? And my answer is always the same. It depends. There's no black or white. Just like everything in our job, it's very gray. So if I'm up all night at a fire and I feel absolutely beat, am I gonna try to max, my deadlift? Probably not the next day. If we had a decent night, typical night for me is 2 or 3 runs after midnight. I'm just gonna train normally. If I get really lucky and we have a shutout, those nights that we all love and yearn for, I'm gonna push hard the next day, because if I get anywhere from 6 to 8 hours of sleep, that is my green zone. So we're gonna attack that day as if I slept in my own bed. That's my approach, and it's the approach with all the clients that I work with. And I guarantee, like I mentioned, if you take the time, even though you don't feel like it, I don't feel like it, nobody else feels like it, it comes down to making the hard right decision over the easy wrong. Hard right is train, power through your day, get a bunch of energy and enthusiasm to start things off. Easy wrong decision, most of the time, is to be a bump on a log, lay around all day, feel unproductive and lazy, because the version of you is on the other side of hard work. So that is my approach. We are going to shower up, fuel up, do a little bit of work, and continue powering through this post-shift day. I got a question for you. Do you guys ever feel like you're way hungrier after shift? I know that I do, and there's a reason behind that. And I think this is why it's really important to know the why behind everything, because that way we can understand how we can overcome these things. So when we're sleep deprived, which you and I are when we go to work and we're up all night running calls, there's a hormone called ghrelin that is released more readily. And basically what ghrelin is that is your hunger hormone. So if we are really sleep deprived and aren't getting the rest and recovery that we need, ghrelin is a lot more predominant, and that's why we feel famished after shifts. So just understand that that is going to be an obstacle that we face. But again, knowledge is power, and knowing that we can kind of make some changes or some alterations in our diet to overcome that, meaning more protein, higher fiber, so we feel fuller and kind of can suppress that hunger hormone. So we're going to get into a little post-run nutrition. After a run, the focus is going to be some quick carbs to replenish glycogen and a little bit of protein to kind of start that recovery process. I like to keep my carbohydrate intake lower at the beginning of the day. That way I don't get that big insulin spike and feel tired. I want to feel wakeful. I want to feel like I have the energy to continue to power through. So a little bit of carbohydrates, because obviously we need to replenish what we just used. But the focus here is just going to be a little bit of protein, some calories, some healthy fats, and then we're going to get into some work. I think I also do a supplement with a multivitamin, omega D3K2. So nothing crazy, guys, just some basic supplementation. Gonna take this for my first meal. Down the hatch. I store these like I'm 95 years old, and these little cool things that I got on Amazon. So just at the beginning of the week, again, just kind of going back to that whole preparation thing. If I take, 15 minutes on a Sunday to do little things like this, again, on my off days, or whether I'm grabbing this, throwing in my work bag, it just makes it so much easier. What we want to do and what preparation really is all about is just removing as much resistance as possible. So whether it's leaving your clothes out the night before, knowing where your keys are, knowing where your wallet is, having little stuff like this set to go, it just eliminates the opportunity for those excuses that are inevitably going to pile up when life gets busy. So as you mentioned, the priority is some carbohydrates and some protein to start that recovery. So what we got here is a little Greek yogurt. I threw a scoop of Transparent Labs vanilla protein in and a little bit of berries. So some carbs here, mainly protein. And then we're getting some awesome whole food carbs in this Transparent Labs protein bar. They're gonna go ahead and crush as I get into some work. So basically shift from Firefighter Mitch. The mornings are my priority because I know that training and all that stuff make me feel my best. And now we're switching into Coach Mitch mode. So gonna hammer this back, gonna get in front of the computer for a couple hours, do some editing, some client check-ins. I gotta run my team call. And then we are going to, what are we gonna do after that, AJ? We got some YouTube stuff we gotta do as well. We're gonna be shooting a YouTube video in the garage. So again, a little bit chaotic. Never in a million years did I think I'd be the guy that would be doing all this stuff, but hey, here we are. So let's go work.
Okay.
And this is going to sound funny in a video that's all about balance, but I think one thing that I've noticed and like I want to really highlight is sometimes your life isn't going to have balance. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the host was talking about how all these really successful people talk about the balance that they have and these side quests that they participate in, the hobbies that they enjoy, but they never really talk about what they had to do in order to get there. And I think if any of us, myself included, are trying to accomplish difficult, challenging, exciting things, there's going to be points in our life, especially as first responders, where we lack balance. And not to say that that's something that I encourage. I think hustle culture, in fact, is really, really toxic. But I think it's just a reality, just knowing that if you want to accomplish extraordinary things, you have to be willing to do things that are extraordinary. It's literally in the word. So there's certainly been seasons of my life where I've walked that razor's edge of burnout, but sometimes that's what it takes. And I think what experience has taught me and what I learned over the years is just being able to become better at recognizing when you're crossing that line. But just realize that it feels hard because it is hard. So whether it's things outside of work, if it's personal endeavors, if it's athletic feats, sometimes you're going to have to throw balance out the window, but this is my typical day and how I try my best to find that balance while still pushing the envelope and trying to do great things. So, work is done. We're going to head down into my garage and shoot a YouTube video that you guys will probably be seeing either already or in the near future. And then that's kind of taken us to midday. We're going to start to wind things down and again find that balance. The priority at night is just going to be spend time with family, knowing when there's that off switch of that hard stop of the day of work stops. Because if you're achieving great things, that's awesome. But if you're neglecting the people around you, that is not awesome. So, on to the garage. Time to do some more YouTubing. Being a firefighter is not what you think. There's a dark side of this job that no one really talks about. The part that doesn't make the highlight reels or the recruitment videos. It's the part that, after 12 years in the fire service, changed me more than I could have ever expected. So, there you have it, you guys. And one thing that I want to kind of allude to is like, I couldn't do any of this stuff without the people in my life. And then we talk about this all the time amongst our community of like, having a support network around you that is really, holding you up and scaffolding you is the world of difference. And as you guys can see, there's an amazing guy behind the camera, my buddy AJ, who helps me with all this. You can see the dramatic production of all the moving parts and things that we do in order to create the best value and experience for you guys. I'm also just going to throw up a video that I took today of me running with my wife in the car and AJ in the back because I am truly blessed to have such amazing people in my life. So there's a typical day of kind of how I balance everything, the chaos of shift work while still trying to build something meaningful outside of that. I'm going to go spend some time with my beautiful family, unwind, to get ready, and make the priority to early to bed because I got to go back to shift tomorrow and do it all over again. But until next time, peace.